Hi, everyone. It's John from House of Growth. I am the founder of House of Growth, where we help B2B SaaS companies to generate revenue with organic content by optimizing their content for SEO. And recently, people started to call also AEO or AI search engine or whatever. So my background is I built two SaaS companies, exited the first one, advised 100 companies. And for the last 3 years, I've been helping most of the B2B SaaS companies to rank on the search engine. So what I will be discussing in this video is how can you start ranking on AI search engines as a B2B SaaS. And the playbook that I'm going to share here is based on the 3 case studies we've recently got, where we help some of our clients generate 20% of their pipeline from AI search engine, and all their companies are early stage companies. So let's get into it. All right. So when you start doing answer engine optimization, like before we get into that, let me be clear, right? You have to have a content. I get a lot of people approach me and say, like, I don't want to have content. I just want to optimize it for AI search engines. That's not going to happen. Where do you think AI search engines are pulling the content from? They pull it from an existing content, right? So we need to create a content to make sure that we are visible there. With that being said, the first phase of having a good AEO strategy is that you need to know which prompts you're going to focus on, because you cannot win every single battle. And the way I approach this is it's very similar to traditional keyword research, right? So with the traditional keyword research, what we do is we'll, focus on the bottom of the funnel keywords, meaning that the keywords that have a buying intent, and would usually source this from our customers. Here, the same logic applies as well. So in the first place, we have to pick our battles and pick the prompts that we're going to go after. And you can do it with customer discovery calls, right? So basically, if you have, let's say, a sales-led growth motion, where when people sign up for a demo, while you're at the demo, you can just ask them like, hey, did you find us through an AI search? If they say yes, you can ask about the prompts. This is one method that we do. The second way you can do it is you can go back and interview your recently joined customers and ask the same question to them. Or you can look at, if you have paid ads team, you can look at which one of your paid ads are converting the best, right? And if you're not running paid ads, then you can use a tool like Ahrefs to go and look what are the paid keywords your competitors are bidding on. This is going to help you to understand, what are the keywords that might be valuable for you. You can also go one step further and you can check not just like the keywords that they're running ads on today, but you can put a filter and say, check out the keywords that they've been keeping active for the last 6 months. Because if someone is bidding on the same keyword for the last 6 months and they're not shuffling it, it means that it's profitable, right? So these are some of the ways that you can go ahead and understand some of the prompts and topics that you're going to focus on. And what you want to do is, after you take those keywords, you need to turn them into questions, right? So because the way people search on the AI search engine is very different than how we search on Google. And Google, people will put something like best project management tool. But then the way people search on AI search engine is more descriptive. What is the best project management tool for Series A stage company, right? So once you make the list of topics that you have, try to turn them into a question. So phase 1 action step is mind your customer questions, right? So you're going to go and ask your customers, how did they find you? If they found you through ChatGPT or Perplexity or any other AI search engine, ask them what were the prompts they used. You can organize you can analyze your organic keywords. What are some of the top converting keywords for you? And then the third thing is you can look at your Google Ads. What are some of the keywords that are doing well for you? And then once you do this, right now we understand what are the prompts that we're going to go after. So the second phase of the strategy is that we need to create a content, because we need to have, in this strategy, we need to have owned content, and then we need to have, you can call it like earned content or mentions, right? So we start with creating our own content. And what you need to do here is take the list of questions that you created from the phase one, and then you're going to start doing search for those. Just like how we did it with an SEO, we would pick a topic and then we would put it onto a Google search, and then we look at the top search results to understand what are the titles people are using, what type of content it is. Is it listicle? Is it the how-to guide? Is it is it a what is type of content? We're going to do the same thing here as well. So once you take your questions, go and start searching them on ChatGPT or Perplexity. Please do it from incognito windows so that the search engines are not biased. And then what you're going to do here is that you're going to identify what type of content is getting cited, right? So is it a listicle? Is it a landing page? You're gonna mimic what is working best. And then the other thing that I can say is, actually adding into this, like, you have to focus on prompts where AI is not hallucinating the answer, but it's actually taking it from external sources, right? I'm seeing some of you are fighting to manipulate questions which AI is not really citing. Like, don't do that, right? Go and focus on the questions where you're sure that AI is going for the external sources to give you the answer. And the other thing that I'm going to say is, just like in the traditional SEO, you have to focus on the bottom of the funnel content, right? Bottom of the funnel content is when somebody's searching for this, you know that they have a buying intent. So to give you an example of bottom of the funnel content is, it could be something like, your competitors. So let's say that you're competing with Asana alternatives, Asana versus another big competitor, and then you can hijack yourself as the third competitor. The AI search engines, they love comparison content, right? So it could be related to competitor alternatives, competitor comparisons, competitor pricing, competitor review. And then once you're done with this, you can move one step up in the funnel, and then you can go for like category related keywords. So category related keywords are, so again, I'll refer back to project management space. So if you're competing with Asana, your category is project management. So you can go after top project management tools, and then you can adjust this for the AI search engines, because the way people are searching is different, right? They search for the longer tail stuff. So you can actually go for things like best project management software for persona, best project management software for real estate, best project management software for use case. It could be like agile project management. So you can add modifiers to your category related keywords. And those modifiers are things like persona, use case, integrations, demographics, so on and so on. And once you start creating this content, and as I said, mostly like if you want to get the best ROI, the content that you're going to create for AI search engines is either going to be a competitor related product review stuff, or it's going to be category related, or it's going to be related jobs to be done related stuff. So jobs to be done related content is basically mapping your product features and then mapping each feature with the jobs to be done. So for example, you have, let's say that you have a agile project management feature, right? So the goal of that feature is to help someone how to manage agile projects. So then you would go after creating content on how to manage agile projects, right? So that is the jobs to be done. Anyways, I'm moving on. Once you identify the topics that you're going to go after, and then the content type is if it's going to be listicle or landing page, whatever, then what you need to focus on is you have to maximize the information gain score. So no AI BS content, right? No content on like, hey, write me a content about this with a couple of prompts. That's not going to work. So the information gain score is basically, you can think of it as a score. When somebody is on your website, they're reading your page, they're going to get more information than your competitors, right? More information doesn't mean that you have to make their content longer with fluff. We don't want to do that, right? So you have to go one step further. When you're creating your brief, you have to go one step further than looking at the competitors and seeing what questions that they're covering. You have to put your shoes of a researcher and then tell to yourself, if I was my reader, what are the missing questions that we have here, right? So don't just like mimic what your competitors are doing. Always try to think like, what is it that I can do to add more extra information there? Sometimes it's going to be a template. Sometimes it's going to be You're going to be covering more questions. Sometimes it's going to be an interactive demo. The main goal here is that we're trying to create the best page on the internet by providing more value and a relevant value. And here, like if you get stuck, what you can do is, this is what I like to do. I like to put the question. So for example, I'm writing a content on what are the best project management software for real estate companies. And then once you put that question into Perplexity, you're going to see a follow-up questions, right? So that will also give you an idea as well on what are some of the questions that you might include on the page. Or like sometimes I go to Reddit and see like what are the questions that are being asked about this. So if again I'm giving an example from a project management a tool for real estate, I'm going to type that into Reddit. I'm going to go and find the relevant threads, and then I'm going to see like what are the questions that are being asked there, and then I'm going to add that to my content. The main goal is that make sure that you're writing the best content on the internet, right? So once you're done with creating your own content, as I said, like the half of this strategy is about having your own content with the targeted search queries. And then the other half is going to be about, this is where like a major difference between AEO and SEO happens, right? So AEO is about getting more and more and more mentions. Like it means that you get to get more mention on Reddit, you get to have more visibility on YouTube or on the third party listicles. This is where AEO really differs from SEO. Is that it's very important that you keep getting mentions, right? And for phase 3, what you're going to do here is, you're going to start being more active, because this is for B2B SaaS, right? So you have to be more active on the review platforms. Make sure that you go and create your profile on G2, get some reviews there, get some visibility there. And then once you do that, the second thing that you want to do is, sorry, you want to go for Reddit. So now Reddit is a little bit tough, right? So a lot of people try to spam Reddit by creating new accounts and then creating new subreddits or just like spamming the comments. That's not going to work, right? You're going to get banned. So what works on Reddit is you just have to be not spamming. And instead of focusing on, oh, I need to do like 1,000 comments, why don't you focus on doing like 20 value added comments, which is going to work better, because this is not about creating 1,000 comments as fast as possible. So on Reddit, what I'm currently doing is I am first of all like I'm looking at the prompts that I want to get more visibility, and then I am seeing like what are the Reddit threads that are having impact on this prompt, and then I try to contribute to those prompts. And just give a disclaimer that you work at an XYZ company, and don't just go ahead and just like pitch your company. Just add value, and then at the end, like you can say, "Hey, disclaimer, like I work here," right? So I think this is the best way of doing it. And then the third part is the YouTube side of the thing. So YouTube is going to be easier compared to Reddit, because on Reddit, like if people don't like your content or you piss some people off, they're going to ban you. And on the YouTube, no, like what I would suggest to do on YouTube is like, again, map your products features and then turn those into how-to related questions, like jobs to be done stuff. Let's start creating like basic looms. You don't need to hire a video agency or anything. It could be just you talking about how to do X, Y, Z. Make sure that the title is optimized, and then start posting more of this content on the YouTube, which is going to help you out with getting more visibility. And then the fourth one is, it's not directory actually. It's like, let's say that getting more mentions on affiliate sites or getting more mentions on other blogs, right? So here, what I do is, again, I'm looking at the prompt that I want to win, and then I see what are the other websites are having impact on this, and then I try to get visibility there, right? So I'll go and have a co-marketing with those people, or I'll just, if it's an affiliate, you can go and pay. So for example, like if you want to be on let's say Forbes, if you want Forbes to mention you as the best tool, of course you have the money, you can go and do that. But sometimes even if you don't have the money, you'll see like a smaller publications getting mentioned. You can just start to have like a co-marketing activities with them, nurture relationships so that they would mention your company there. And what you want to do to understand as the next step is like, how do you know that what is working or not, right? So not sure if you can see, but this is a small one here where we're tracking some of the bottom of the funnel prompts. basically you want to track what prompts you're having visibility or not, right? So there are a lot of different tools out there that you can use, and I think there's going to be more and more. For me, like I'm not very interested in tools that are offering optimization or anything. I just want to have a basic visibility. You can go and check it out. There are a bunch of tools out there. I would suggest that focus on the one that will give you the visibility without making a hole in your pocket, because I believe that the only thing that you need at this stage is like just to see if you're visible or not and track this stuff. What you're going to do there is you're going to go ahead and put the prompts that you want to have the visibility, and then you'll start having this dashboard where it will track what are the prompts that you're visible, what are the search engines that you're visible, if it's a Claude, Perplexity, or ChatGPT. You don't need to track all of those. Like I mainly track Perplexity, Google AIO reviews, and ChatGPT, so you don't need to go ahead and track everything. And then the phase 5, this is where most people are failing, actually, the testing and optimization. So at this point, we know what prompts that we're fighting for. We already created content for our own website. We are already doing offsite things such as like being active on Reddit, being active on G2, creating YouTube videos, and we started to track the visibility, right? So what do we do? Right. Obviously, like we continue to create more content and make sure that we're updating our existing content. The one thing that I would say is during when it was just about the SEO, we would update our content every 3 to 6 months. Now LLMs care more about how fresh your content is. So there are some prompts, there are some pages that I'm updating every 2 to 4 weeks, right? So make sure that you refresh your content as often as possible. Anyway, so moving on to testing and optimization. So what I prefer to do is I like to do my own research and think like what are some of the things that we can test with our content to increase our visibility, right? So what you need to do here is you want to come up with thesis and then say, I think that if we go and post on these 5 Reddit threads, we might increase the visibility for the certain prompt that we're fighting for. So you got to make sure that you're tracking stuff, right? So if you do something, make sure that you track and then document. There are a lot of people claiming that this works or that works, and that I might be claiming some things work or some things might not work. But I always try to experiment and then document stuff, and based on that, iterate. So here, what is important is that you keep, like I personally like to come up with a different experiment every month, and then I'll take a note of these things, and then I'll go and experiment these things on a certain group, and then I'm not going to do it with a different group, so that I see like if the changes are having any impact on the content that I'm having or not. And I try to test one thing at a time. So if I'm going to test something on the content element, maybe I'm going to add a TLDR for 10 posts, and then I'm not going to add it for another 10, and then see like if it's helping or not, right? So only test one thing at a time. You can run tests on your content, such as like adding a TLDR, I don't know, adding some extra follow-up questions based on what you've seen on search engines, schema types, adding videos, optimizing the entity, so on and so on. You can also make an experimentation with the distribution, right? So you can go to Reddit threads. What would happen if I create my own Reddit group? What would happen if I post something about our company? What would happen if I comment under a certain post, right? So make sure that you come up with the distribution related experiments and then start taking notes. And as the last thing, track everything, note down, and iterate. So in short, this is how I would approach doing AEO playbook for a B2B SaaS company. And the one thing about AEO is, with SEO, it takes time. It takes time for Google to recognize you. It takes time to build a topical authority. It takes time to break into top 3. But AEO is a little bit different, right? So you still need to have all of these things. You still need to have your topical authority. You still need to aim for like ranking on top 3 on Google. But it's a space where you can create a YouTube video, or because I've seen it personally, even if you don't have much presence on Google and you have like presence on YouTube, and then you have a strong Reddit, and then you have strong G2, you could get mentioned on AEO and start getting clients. I hope this was helpful. If you want to connect with me, check my LinkedIn profile. That I'm going to drop it as on the description. Apologies for my bad looking presentations. It's not my specialty. I just wanted to put these things as a placeholder for me so that I remember the things that I'm going to be saying. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye bye.